Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the nation's highest civilian honor. He's the fourth golfer to earn that distinction. The last to do so was Charlie Sifford, who was like a grandfather to Tiger. In fact, Tiger's son Charlie is named for Charlie Sifford. So an extraordinary stretch of time here for Tiger Woods, who, oh, by the way, might just win another major next week.
Look like they have the same stylist.
In 5 minutes, trouble with Kyrie. We're talking more about him as we go. Did you realize it's 30 years ago today, Jordan over Elo? 30 years today. Craig Elo will join us live, and then so will Stephen A. We're going to be busy in the next half hour. Be here with us as we continue. Get Up on ESPN. Get Up. Rockets, Warriors, and what a series this is turning out to be. The Warriors sent 8 different defenders at James Harden last night. He scored on every one of them at least once. Klay Thompson got the worst of it. Harden scored 15 of his points against him. And Golden State continues to struggle from 3. 8 of 33. Houston, meanwhile, made 17 threes. That differential tied for the second worst in a playoff game in Warriors history. And so now we're 2-2. Durant and Harden both averaging over 35 points. Elias tells us this is the first series ever where opposing players have averaged at least 35 points in the first 4 games. So we're going to get to Kyrie in a second, but let me just quickly ask you to sum that one up. Warriors-Rockets 2-2. Is that series going to go 7?
I think so, yes.
So we'll see what happens. Again, they went 7 a year ago, and Game 7 was in Houston. This year it would be in Oakland, but ideally Chris Paul will be healthy, which he was not then. Okay, that's that. Now let's get to this. We've talked a lot about Kyrie Irving this morning. Let's take a closer look.
The best player on the Boston Celtics. So anytime you join a basketball team that made the conference finals the previous years without you, that means certain players from last year's team have to make sacrifices. So he wasn't a part of it last year. He wasn't a part of it last year, which means he's not in the game.
Yeah.
And it means Scary Terry is not in the game. All right? And you see who he's watching, not him. So check this out. So now you do an inbounds play. Simple little dribble handoff action with Al Horford. Look at this shot by Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
You can't take this shot. It's just a bad shot. It's called shot hunting. That's what this is. This guy has to find a way to get this guy the ball. He's wide open. All right? Now, when you do that, here's what ends up happening. The body language from the other players starts to be affected. Look at this. You think he won an offensive rebound?
He's not even moving. Yeah.
He's not even moving.
Yeah.
And then, so now I'm calling it a bad shot whether it goes in or not. It's a bad shot. A wedgie? Seriously? Seriously? And look what the model. Did you know that this was the Celtics model this year?
No.
Look at this. Is that what you're seeing out there on the floor? Are they rising together?
Most certainly not. You are making my point for me, and I love it. Go on.
Okay, now watch this next play. Now this really is going to embody how Kyrie Irving has to find a way to get his teammates involved.
Yeah.
Now this is a half-court set. You come across, you swing it to get a little ball movement. Now watch this, Greenie. Now, in today's NBA, when your guard is underneath, look at this. Shooter. Al Horford even. Shooter.
Yeah.
Okay? Now watch this. That's shot hunting. And look at Al Horford with the exaggerated, like, seriously? Like, dog? Like, is that what you're going to do? And so now all of a sudden, when you're playing like that, the other team starts to sense a little momentum too. They understand that there's a fracture going on when one guy is being selfish, and therefore you start to feed off of that. And I think that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have been able to do to Kyrie Irving.
And to the point, all those missed shots, and we talked about it earlier, and that's an outstanding look at it. So many of them lead to transition buckets the other way. Now the Greek Freak is out and running. He's dunking on everyone and flexing and making that face. And the entire Bucks team is sort of alive and energetic, and the Celtics look deflated and defeated.
We touched on the distinction. The Houston Rockets are built for James Harden to be an isolation player where other guys are going to spot up and knock down shots when they get the opportunity.
Right.
The Boston Celtics are a skilled team that doesn't need one guy taking 22 shots, especially if he's only going to make 7.
No, and look, those are not good shots if a guy is red hot. But when he's already missing, no, look, that's an outstanding look at it. The Celtics are in all kinds of trouble. Okay, right now we have a very special edition of Swagoo Says. Normally what we do is we play something that someone else said and we have Swagoo comment on it. But today, this special edition comes directly courtesy of a text message I received yesterday.
Whoa.
So we were having a conversation here on Get Up, and our friend Marcus Spears, who joins us in our studio here, was watching the program, and he sends me a text in the middle of the conversation, and I will now read to you all that text. It says, G, and by the way, I love it when you call me G. Durant has missed his window to win a championship and have people consider it to be his own. Those are the words of Marcus Spears. Swagoo, explain yourself.
Kevin Durant, 30 years old. All right, he had his opportunity in OKC. Remember, we had that tug and pull. Was it him? Was Russell Westbrook trying to take over what that team? Who was the leader of that team? Kevin Durant decided to vacate Oklahoma City. He went and joined Golden State, in which a lot of us talked about was a very weak move. Now, whether you consider it a weak move or not, he's a 2-time Finals MVP. He's MVP of the league. Well, this is not about Kevin Durant being a great basketball player. I think the league has shifted now to where you have to have another superstar to win an NBA championship. And that's what I was meaning when I sent you that text, G. Like that time has passed. LeBron had the ability to go to Miami, win championships with D-Wade and Chris Bosh. And I don't think we gave him the really reign supreme king until he went back to Cleveland and came back from a 3-1 deficit. So I think KD's window has left.
So you're telling me he goes to New York and it's his team. You're telling me he can't win it.
If he goes to New York, if he and Kyrie Irving goes to New York together, they not winning a championship.
Anyone agree or disagree? Anyone here believe that Kevin Durant? Go ahead.
What? Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving can't win a championship?
They not going to win a championship in New York.
What do you think, Jay? You think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, as the basis of a team, is a championship team in the NBA?
Well, depending upon who you surround them with. I mean, you need a good GM for that. But by the way, this whole thing that the league has shifted to always having a teammate, it's always been that way. It's always been that way. It was that way with the Boston Celtics back in the day. It was that way. Michael Jordan won one playoff game before Scottie Pippen got there. Scottie Pippen was a bad boy. People forget that when Scottie Pippen went to Portland, he was dominating people. It's always been that way. You partner up KD and Kawhi, it could be a championship.
But we never wondered whose team that was. That was Michael Jordan's team, and there was never any debate about it, and Scottie Pippen wouldn't have argued that.
We're having a conversation today about Kyrie Irving being a number 2. You going to say Kevin Durant's a number 2? Whose team do you think it would be if Kyrie Irving and KD played?
It would be KD's team. I think the point he's making, if I may speak for my client over here, is that team's not winning a championship.
I got to tell y'all a secret. Something that has happened to the Golden State Warriors over the past 12 months. They've actually become Kevin Durant's team. When he first joined them, Steph Curry was the only unanimous MVP that led the Warriors to a 73-win season. That was Steph's team then. Now, if it's 5 seconds to go in the game and they about to draw up a play for somebody, they drawing it up for him. They ain't drawing it up for Steph. They're using Steph like the Rockets use Eric Gordon.
Right.
Almost like a role player. KD is being featured.
So, Jay,
but I agree with your point about if he was to leave, that may not be considered his own in Golden State because he's been unhappy there. But I disagree with the fact that he can't be the best player.
Kyrie and Kevin Durant are bad mates. It's like putting them right back together with Westbrook, just in my opinion. You bring those two guys to New York, that's not a winning combination because one guy, the ball gets stuck. The other guy, the ball now all of a sudden has to be in his man's floor. Two great players, but that's not winning the NBA the next championship. I'm not saying,
look, it's a foregone conclusion that any team KD shows up on, he's going to be the best player. That's a foregone conclusion. I'm talking about legacy, how you're remembered, right? And when we talk about the greats in the NBA, Bill Russell is remembered as the Celtics leader. Those were his championships. He had a lot of great players around him. When we talk about MJ in Chicago, those were his championships. As good as Scottie Pippen was, I'm talking about when we have conversations about Kevin Durant at the end of his career, will we say Kevin Durant led a team to an NBA championship?
The Golden State Warriors have won 3 championships in the last 4 years. How many times has Steph Curry won Finals MVP?
Zero.
Exactly.
But how many times
he led the past two though?
But we nobody has ever said that.
But we see it.
Those are not the conversations we're gonna have. What we're gonna talk about is KD joined the best team in the NBA. That's gonna be the conversation, guys.
When I was in the gym and he dribbled down like it was a walk in the park and pulled up from 35 feet and shot it in LeBron James' face, to me that day it became the
Keep going back to the type of player. I'm talking about how we remember guys.
About the perception.
How we remember guys.
So let me ask you a question. What would it take for you, in your mind, for KD to be remembered in that same legacy as Michael Jordan or somebody else? Like he needs to go and do it all by himself.
He needs to go.
If he goes in.
Oh, wait. Kevin Durant is about to join a league company this year.
I understand, but I'm saying how he sees it.
The Golden State Warriors, if they win a championship this year, he's going to be Finals MVP for the third straight time.
Okay, come on, man.
Only Michael Jordan has done that.
That's what I'm saying. How would it take for him to be remembered?
If he goes with Kawhi and wins one for the Clippers,
you got to take the road less traveled, guys. Like, let's be honest. You have to take the road less traveled in order to be remembered.
But if he does that, who does he need to partner up with that would still make you feel like
if he went to New York and won a championship with Kyrie and a bunch of role players, then I would tell you KD legacy is cemented as one of the guys that led a franchise to a championship.
If he did with Kawhi and the Clippers, would that be the same?
Kawhi in the conversation for the best in the league.
The message here is, if Swagoo sends you a text, always read it. We take a short time out. We have a lot more still to come here, including this. It was 30 years ago today. Michael Jordan made that shot over Craig Elo. Elo joins us to remember it next.
Not a Jordan fan.